Hello, my name is Xander from Terrytown and welcome to your J-Feather 24BH. I'm just going to start this off by saying the wind is pretty strong today, so I'm going to do my best to try and talk over or block it at points. But otherwise I'm just going to jump right into it. Right up front here we have your front power tongue jack. So this is all electric, up, down. You also have a light just in case you do need to hook up at night. Absolute worst case, if this ever stops working and electrically goes out, you can peel this little black tab up here, insert a tool, and you can manually override it and crank it up or down, worst case. Right behind here are going to be your two propane tanks. So you just choose whichever one you want to buy. This little piece here, it's just a little regulator switch. And then just behind it is going to be, so you can see how it's red now, but when there's propane going through it, that's going to turn clear. So whichever way it's going to go, eventually it'll turn red, showing that the tank is empty. This is also pre-prep, so at this point there is no battery, but there's a battery would go there. And then you would have your battery disconnect right inside here, which is pretty self-explanatory. You have it on, off, and of course out, which is also off. I mean, the name's pretty self-explanatory. It disconnects the battery, so you just press in and twist it to the right to turn it on. Now obviously there's no battery right now. Right here is going to be your griddle, and you also have your J-port table and LP gas hose, which I'll go over in just a minute. And you have that little crank right there for your stabilizer jacks, and that also doubles as the manual override for the front there. Right here's the back of your refrigerator if you ever need to access it. And then just down here is going to be your fresh tank drain, which I'll go over that fresh tank in a little bit. It's on the other side. This right here is your city water connection. So when you get to a campground, this is going to be your main water source that you plug right into. This is going to be your black tank flush, which I'll explain more on in just a minute. Outside shower, hot, cold side, along with the shower head and hose all inside of here. Right down here is going to be your sewer connection. So you have your two grays, gray handle there, gray handle there. Looks like it's a little bit windy, so I'm trying to block it out here. And then your black tank. So your gray tanks are going to be for showers, sinks, stuff like that. And your black tank is going to be for toilet, so all of your sewer water. So that's the reason why the black tank has a black tank flush up there, because it has all the solids and toilet paper which can get stuck on the way out. So that's why I do recommend doing the black tank first, grabbing the handle, pulling it out, letting it completely drain. Once it's done draining, put the pressurized hose in the black tank flush, let it flush out. When it's done, pull the hose out, close the black tank, and then go ahead and you can do the grays right afterwards, just one at a time, and let it completely flush out. The reason why I recommend doing the gray last is just to wash out your sewer hose before you go ahead and put your hands back on there. You have your 30 amp service, which is your shore power, and here's a cable and satellite input, so if your campground offers it, you can plug in right there. Backup camera prep. You also have the little bag storage area here. Coming along to your outside kitchen area. Not a whole lot to it. You just pull this out for your sink. And then of course you have your sink and hot cold side there. Then like I mentioned earlier, you have that J-port table, which will go right inside of here. You can kind of see the little area you just stick it into. And then you would have your griddle on top of that. And then plug your griddle, the wind will stop, right into there. And that is then going to feed propane into your griddle, so you're able to then heat it up and use it. Have a little step light right there. I'll go over the stairs in just a minute. If you decide to put the TV outside or ATV outside, you have 110 for power there, cable satellite input there, and then you just hook your TV up right there. Here's that fresh tank I was talking about. If you need to take water with you at any point, just go ahead and open this up, fill it up with some water, and then you would take the water with you. So what I mean by that I don't recommend traveling with it because it just adds a whole bunch of weight. But if you're at like a national park and you need to fill up on the outside before you go in, they usually have like little spouts. That's what I mean. You can go ahead, fill that up, and take that in with you. But then you would just turn your water pump on, which I'll show you the switch. But that water pump will then draw water from the tank and push it through your lines. This right here is your water heater. So this is going to be your anode rod. This anode rod is going to protect your tank, so all the hard water will eat at this rather than your tank. So first things first, plug it right into that little hole there. Make sure you tighten that down as tight as you can get it. It's going to be a 1 1/16 socket. So make sure that's nice and tight. Go to the inside of your camper and turn out the hot side of your faucet. Once it's going to sputter for a little bit, just pushing all the air out, filling up your tank, everything like that. But like I said, once this is in, and you have a steady flow of water coming out the hot side of your faucet, you can then go ahead and turn this on, which once again, I'll show you on the inside. But to empty it, make sure all of your switches are off. You pull this pressure release valve, that is going to hiss, releasing all the pressure. Then once it's done hissing, go ahead, take your socket, pull this back out, and your water's just gonna drain right out of that hole right there. And then to make it go faster, just pull the pressure release, get some air in there, and it's gonna flow all the way out. Here's your furnace exhaust. So if if you ever turn your furnace on, all the extra heat's gonna be kicking out of here. So if you have little kids running around or anything like that, just try to keep them away from this when that's on. And you have your side view camera preps. Oh, this side's locked, but you can kind of see from the other side, just have your J-port table and everything inside of there. Inside of here, the first thing on the right is going to be your main power panel. So whichever you choose, the battery just shows full because it's plugged into shore power right now. So there's a little tractor there. But otherwise, it'll tell you all of your tanks fill, everything like that. So grade 1, grade 2, and then of course black and fresh, so you know when to empty them. Water heater. You have your electric and gas portions, whichever one you decide to use, you just go ahead and flip that switch. The water pump, so like I mentioned before, if you need to use that fresh tank, go ahead and flip that switch, and that is going to draw water from the fresh tank. Awning light, living room light, and then you have your slide out extend, which you just hold, and your slide out will then start to open up. And then once you hear that gear grinding noise, go ahead and let go. That just means the motor has reached its limit. So it sounds scary, but in reality, you're completely fine. For awning, you just hold extend, it is going to extend. You're just going to make sure you look for two things. One is going to be that, on my way to that stops in a minute. You're going to want to make sure you look for the end of the awning, which is just like a little flap that comes down, and then the black bar is on underneath it. So you can kind of see how it falls down like that, the little flap, and then the black bar. That means it's fully extended. So at that point, you just want to reel it in the other way to close it, obviously. But the reason why you want to stop at that certain point is because if you do keep reeling it, it'll reel in the opposite way and end up breaking your awning. Almost done. Close. Now I'm going to close this so we don't have to worry about anything else outside. Come into the left here. You have your switches here. One's gonna be for your fan, one's gonna be for your light. For the toilet, there's going to be, you're gonna need three things. One, to know it's a foot flush, you just press down with your foot, it's going to flush. And then you're gonna need RV grade toilet paper and toilet solution. So the toilet paper is gonna be a little bit thinner, helps break down easier, make sure everything flows nice and easy. Same thing with the solution, helps break down solids and smells. So once again, everything breaks down, nothing will clog and flow nice and easy. Right here is going to be your thermostat. So you just click this button here until you cycle between fan, hold it, fan, dry, cool, and heat. The only thing is for the fan, you just hold or click through the fan button to choose the fan speeds. Then you have the up and down arrows to control your temperature for everything else. Right down there is going to be a carbon monoxide detector. So it's a safety feature that is always going to be running. So the only downside with that is when you're unplugged, it'll draw off of your battery. So just double check, even when your battery disconnects off, just make sure that that little green light right there is off. Then you would have your TV here, radio here. So when this is on, it's just a tap to mute, hold to turn off, Bluetooth, AM, FM, aux, and then you have your pause, play, USB, HDMI. And then right here, you have your skip, zone 1 inside speakers, zone 2 outside speakers, volume by twisting this around, and then to do equalizer, so to set treble, bass, stuff like that, you just click the middle and keep clicking through it. Microwave, pretty self-explanatory. Have fan, light. Then for your oven and stove, so for your oven, for your stove, you have your 3 burners here. Make sure your light's on. You press in, turn to start to release the gas, and then you spark to the right to ignite. So there's arrows and everything telling you to spark this way, because if you turn to the left, it'll snap off that way. So just make sure, turn to the right. Then for your oven, there's gonna be a small little piece way back there, a little silver piece, that's gonna be your igniter. So similar process, press in, turn to the flame or the pilot symbol, spark, 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 until you see the flame ignite, and then go ahead and adjust your temperature. You have your keys here. Everything's gonna be key to like, so baggage doors, main doors, everything's gonna be through the silver key. And for your outside shower, if I can get that open, it's gonna be those black ones right there. And for your fridge, top right, the further right it goes, the colder it gets. And then your freezer is all one setting. There we go. And then in here, not really a whole lot to it, just your bedroom. But the main thing is you have your bracket location here, and you have your inputs, and then your 110 outlets right there for power. I mean, other than that, is your orientation. If you have any more questions, something I missed, anything like that, please feel free to write it down and take it in with you, or just go ahead and feel free to email me back. But other than that, that has been your orientation, and I hope you enjoy.